Turn to the book of Mark, chapter 4. Continuing looking at the miracles of Christ. Read verses 35 through verse 1 of chapter 5. And the same day, when the even was come, he, Jesus, saith unto them, the apostles, Let us pass over unto the other side. And when they had sent away the multitude, they took him even as he was in the ship. And there were also with him other little ships. And there arose a great storm of wind, and the waves beat into the ship, so that it was now full. And he was in the hinder part of the ship, asleep on a pillow. And they awake him, and say unto him, Master, carest thou not that we perish? And he arose, rebuked the wind, and said unto the sea, Peace, be still. And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. And he saith unto them, the apostles who were in the ship, Why are you so fearful? How is it that you have no faith? And they feared exceedingly, and said one to another, What manner of man is this, that even the wind and the sea obey him? And they came over unto the other side of the sea, into the country of the Gadarenes. Matthew, Mark, and Luke all record this event. Jesus calming a fierce storm with a word, resulting in the rescue of the apostles, also resulting in a revelation of the person of Jesus Christ. It is Mark that gives the most detailed account. In Mark 4:35, there's a word regarding the timing of this event, and the same day. And the same day. This day had been a very eventful day. A day of parabolic teaching. We read in Mark 4 verse 1, And there gathered unto him, Jesus, a great multitude. And with the crowd pressing upon him, the sea right behind him, with no place to go, Matthew, in his account, chapter 8, verse 23, tells us that he entered into a ship, and the apostles followed him. We read there, when he was entered into a ship, his disciples followed him. And we read in Mark 4, verses 1 and 2, that Jesus sat, and the whole multitude was by the sea on the land. So there's Jesus on a ship a little ways from land, and there's this multitude standing on the shore. And he taught them many things in parables. And as you read there in Mark, you see that he spoke to them the parable of the soils. He spoke to them the parable of the lamp. He spoke the parable of the growing seed. He spoke the parable of the mustard seed. And then evening began to approach. And Jesus said to the apostles that were with him in the ship and had heard all of these teachings, Let us pass over unto the other side. The other side, of course, has reference to the eastern shore of the Sea of Galilee. They were on the western shore. And in Mark chapter 5, verse 1, and they came over unto the other side. So between these two statements, let us pass over unto the other side, and they came over to the other side. Between those two statements is the voyage to the other side. And this voyage, of course, serves as a picture of the child of God, child of God's voyage through this earth to the other side, to glory. Our life on earth is our traveling days. This world is not where we're staying. And God's people need to stop acting as if it were. The world is not where we're staying. It's not our home. We need to hear Jesus say, let us pass over unto the other side. And everything's a passing over. We need to realize and have the assurance of the fact that we will reach the other side. There's no doubt about it. No uncertainty whatsoever. So there is a point of destination. That's our first point. In this case, it was the country of the Gadarenes. The other side for the child of God is not the country of the Gadarenes or any other earthly place, but to a building of God, not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. That's the other side for you and I. The other side for the child of God. Hebrews 11 verse 16, a better country. Hebrews 13 verse 14, a continuing city. The other side for us is a Christ-prepared place. The other side for us that are saved is the joy of the Lord. The other side for us is a heavenly home, eternal glory, where we will be forever with the Lord. That's the other side. And during our journey to the other side, however long that journey may be, and it varies with all of us, we should never lose sight of where we're headed. Never. Never lose sight of our future destination. And the further we get on the journey, the more excitement there ought to be. The greater the anticipation ought to be. None of us know how far along we are on the journey. None of us know that. None of us know how much time is remaining for the journey. But most of us, well, maybe not most, but a good portion of us, we know by simple math that we've traveled most of the journey. And the excitement ought to be growing. And the anticipation ought to be growing. And the more distanced we should become in our hearts and in our minds from this world. We're almost there. You may be almost there and not know it. You may be, looks like on the beginning of the journey, but you're almost there. Or you may be able to see the shore. And I believe as the further we get along, if we live by faith, we can almost see the other side. And the anticipation ought to be growing. I'm not discouraged, I'm not depressed about getting older. it doesn't really bother me. Because I know what's on the other side. And we're anticipating that. So it's important that we do not lose sight of where we're headed. It is, let us pass over unto. That speaks of a direction. If you're on a journey, you're going in a specific direction. And we're moving in the direction of the other side. We're moving in the direction of heaven. Now notice, secondly, that this is a voyage with Christ. We want to notice several things about this voyage. It is a voyage with Christ. Mark 4, verse 35. Let us. Jesus is speaking. Let us pass over unto the other side. He did not say, you go over to the other side and I'll meet you there. He said, let us pass over unto the other side. Christ would be present with them on this journey to the other side. So in other words, on our way to the other side, we're not left alone. We don't make this journey by ourselves. The one who is mighty God, the Lord of all, the King of kings, the King of glory, the Creator and Sustainer of all things, goes with us. The one who is possessor of all power in heaven and earth, the one who can do exceeding abundantly above all that we ask or think, He goes with us. The one who is the great I am, that I am, the beginning and the end, the one who is everything in between the beginning and the end, goes with us. The one who is the sure foundation and the stronghold in the day of wrath, and the rock and the sin-bearer and the kinsman redeemer, the tower of salvation, the friend of sinners, the rescuer and the reconciler. He it is that goes with us. The one whom Satan could not seduce, the one whom the enemies of God could not stop, it is He that goes with us. The one in whom sickness and disease fled at His command, it is He that goes with us. The one who walked this earth, and the demons and death were subject to His word. It is He that goes with us. It's not just that we don't travel alone. Remember who it is that is with you. He's immeasurable. He's immeasurable. And He goes with us. He's the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Let us, He says, pass over unto the other side. And wherever we are in this journey, we pass over. It's just a passing over. Our voyage also should be in obedience. Jesus said by way of directive, let us pass over unto the other side. Then we read, verse 36, following the fact that they sent away the multitude. Jesus said, let us pass over to the other side. They sent away the multitude. They took him even as he was in the ship. That means without gathering any provisions, without making any preparation, they push off to the Sea of Galilee. Their obedience was unquestioning. Their obedience was immediate. And we see them in obedience to Christ. They're headed over to the other side. They're actively doing what God told them. And we see them propelled by Christ's word. That's all they needed to hear. Let us. Let us. And they go. And they're doing so with Him. They're doing so with Him. So it's not a journey apart from Christ. It's a journey in obedience to Christ, but it is obedience with Him. With Him. On our voyage to the other side, there's no better way than surrendering and obeying the commands of the one who cannot err. You don't need to ask any questions. Let us go, let us pass over to the other side. And off we go. Another thing about this voyage is it has some storms. It has some storms. In this account, the way to the other side was by the Sea of Galilee. If you're going to the other side, whatever the other side is, there has to be a means of getting there. And the means of getting there was the Sea of Galilee. The Sea of Galilee was well known for the sudden and violent storms due to its location. It was located, of course, in the Jordan Valley. 700 feet below sea level. Surrounded by steep hills, mountains, 2,000 feet high on the east and on the west. As cool air would come down from those mountains and met the warm tropical air over the water, it would create fierce wind tunnels. Again, the way to the other side was by way of the Sea of Galilee. Our way to the other side is this world. There's no way of getting to the other side. Since we're born into this life other than through this world. You can't take a different way. You got to go through this world. And it is a world that does not know the Lord. And it is a world in its ignorance that hates Jesus Christ. It is a world that has Satan as its prince. It is a world that is the sphere of Satan's activities. And it is a world marked by storms. Along the way, we have the blessings of salvation. We are the children of God. We have free pardon and forgiveness of sins. We have acceptance with God. We have peace with God. We have the indwelling of the Holy Spirit. Along the way, we are citizens of heaven and headed to our place of citizenship. We have sufficiency in all things. We have grace and abundant supply. All of our needs on this journey are supplied in Christ. All things work together for our good. We have the promises of God. We are kept by the power of God. We have a place prepared for us in glory. We have a glorious future. And we are more than conquerors through Him that loved us. Nothing in this journey can change any of that. There can be, in this journey, very favorable conditions when we're just sailing along. But don't forget where you are. As you're just sailing along, no problems. Don't forget where you are. Storms will come. As we see from this incident recorded by Matthew, Mark, and Luke, obedience and being in the center of God's will does not exempt us from the storms. Now, it is true that disobedience, you can create your own storms. But obedience does not exempt us from the storms. Just like anybody traveling the Sea of Galilee, no one was exempt from the storms. These storms can be sudden, unexpected. Mark 4, verse 37, and there arose, without any warning, a great storm. Matthew says in his account, Matthew 8, verse 24, and behold, there arose a great tempest. And Luke says in his account, Luke 8, 23, and there came down from the mountains a storm. The storms can be severe. Without warning, a furious storm came upon the Sea of Galilee, which isn't really a sea, it's a lake, and it came right where they were. The storm was raging. The winds were blowing. The winds are the root cause here. The waves were rising. And Matthew, in describing the storm, called it a great tempest. Mark, in describing the storm, called it a great storm of wind. And Luke described it as a storm of wind. Now Mark says in chapter 4, verse 37, and the waves beat into the ship, so that it was now full. Matthew says, chapter 8, verse 24, Matthew, there arose a great tempest in the sea, insomuch that the ship was covered with the waves. So the waves are coming up over the ship. And Luke says, Luke 8, 23, and they were filled with water and were in jeopardy. So the water was now in their boat. Your boat is to be on the water. When the water is in the boat, you've got a problem. And they're in jeopardy. They're in danger of sinking. One gust of wind threatens to lift the ship out of the water, and the very next gust of wind threatened to drop them to the bottom of the Sea of Galilee. They were so much in jeopardy that Matthew, Mark, and Luke all record the apostles saying, "We perish. We perish." They were frightened. They were terrified. They were completely helpless. And they were certain of death. We perish. We perish. Again, all of this is a picture of the storms of life. There can be winds that frighten us. There can be winds that cause us to lose hope. But through it all, don't forget where you're headed. And you're going to get there. It may appear that you're not going to make it, but you're going to get there. Also, in our voyage the other side, things are not always as they appear. The storm came where they were. The boat in which they were sailing was filled with water, in danger of sinking. And there they are. They're in a very vulnerable place. It's dark. The winds are blowing fiercely against them. The waves are rising, battering their boat. They're filled with fear. They're caught in a storm. No place to go. All seems to be out of control. Just appears that way. God's always in control. And there was Jesus. While all this is going on, Mark 4:38, he's asleep. And it appeared that he knew nothing of the storm. But he knew all about the storm. He knew everything there was to know about the storm. He knew exactly when the storm would come. Not only that, he placed them in the storm. And he knew what he would do. And he knew what they would do. He knows all about the storms. And each storm, he knows when they will come. He knows what we will do. He knows what he will do. But it appears to the apostles that Jesus didn't even care. This is obvious from what they said to him upon awakening him. Master, carest thou not that we perish? They're calling into question the person of Jesus Christ. They're calling into question his care. It appears that he's indifferent to the storm. It appears that he doesn't even care. But on our way to the other side, he always cares. And he always knows. Things are not always what they appear. Also, in our voyage to the other side, We have access to Christ. In Mark 4, verse 38, the waves and the wind are battering that ship. The ship is filling with water. And someone said, "Let's go get Jesus." Someone was smart enough to realize that. So they approached Christ. Matthew says in Matthew 8:25, and his disciples came to him. They knew where he was on the boat, and they came to him. Luke says in Luke 8:24, and they came to him. So notice, it is they and him. They came to him. They and him on the Sea of Galilee. They and him in the boat. They and him in the storm. And they have access to him. And so it is with you and I. It's him, it's us. And we have access. And all through our journey. Doesn't matter where we are in the journey. Doesn't matter what the circumstance is. We have access to him. Also, our voyage involves many miraculous deliverances. We wouldn't get to the other side if that were not so. So there they are, in the midst of a storm. The storm is very real. We have some imaginary storms that we create. But this was no imaginary storm. This was very real. They could feel the wind. They knew the wind was real. They could feel the ship being tossed. They could hear the ship creaking. And they could see that the ship was filling with water. And they could see and they could feel that their clothes were soaking wet. They could see and they could feel that their clothes were clinging to them. Everything about this storm was real. And Jesus calmed the storm, thus providing them with deliverance. And however far along we are in our voyage to the other side, we have been delivered from many a storm along the way. We have been delivered out of the storm, and we have been spared many a storm along the way. We have been spared more storms than we've gone through. And how many times, like these apostles, they could see no way through this storm. They're being tossed about, and all seems hopeless. And he calmed the storm. And he's done that numerous times over and over in our lives. Also, our voyage to the other side involves much of his grace, mercy, and love. Mark 4, verse 38, the apostles awoke Jesus, saying, Master, carest thou not that we perish? So we see and hear them in their impatience, in their unbelief, and in fear, doubting, and calling into question his concern, his commitment, to them. And it is declared in verse 39. Remember how it was they approached him. And he arose. You might expect him to rebuke them first. That's not what he did. He rebuked the wind. That's the root cause of the problem here. There wouldn't have been the waves if it weren't for the wind. As always, Christ deals with the root problem. They may have thought the root problem was their boat being tossed. That wasn't the root problem. The root problem was the wind. So he rebuked the wind. And he said unto the sea was in the state it was in because of the wind, peace, be still. And the wind ceased. The root of the problem was taken care of. And there was a great calm. This is an act of His mercy, considering the way they approached Him. This is an act of His grace, an act of His love, an act of His long-suffering toward Him. And our voyage to the other side is marked by His grace, His mercy, and His love. Ours is and will continue to be a journey filled with His merciful, gracious, and loving acts on our behalf. Also, in our voyage to the other side, all the storms have a God purpose. When Christ said to the apostles, "Let us pass over unto the other side," did He not know the storm that they would be going through? Yes, He knew. As they sailed, and as He went to sleep, and I believe He went to sleep on purpose, did He not know the storm that they would be encountering very soon? Yes, He knew. He not only knew, but He had a purpose for them going through that storm. Jesus knows every storm, and He has a purpose. None of the storms are happenstance. They are on purpose, and they are with a purpose. You may not know in this life the purpose of the storm. The purpose of the storm, we do know this, was not to destroy them. It wasn't to harm them. It was to help them. It was to change them. It was to challenge them, to strengthen them, to better them, to teach them. And this is a truth we must never lose sight of. The storms and struggles are not sent to destroy us. They're sent to develop us. And contrary to common belief, the storms and struggles are not a bad thing. They're not a bad thing. The Lord uses them to direct us, to correct us, to connect us to Him. And because of our human nature, we have to go through storm after storm, because one storm will not do. It will not do. It was in the storm that they learned short term because of human nature again, but they learned just how little control they had. Where'd they learn that? They learned it in the storm. Peter, Andrew, James, and John were experienced fishermen. No doubt very familiar with the Sea of Galilee. No doubt had experienced storms in the past. But a situation has swooped down upon these fishermen. It's absolutely beyond their control. The storms remind us that we're not in control. And because of our human nature, we need to be reminded of that time and time again. It was in the storm that they had a fresh discovery of Christ. And so it is with you and I. We hear them, Mark 4:41, what manner of man is this, that even the wind and the sea obey him? They have a revelation of who Christ is. It was in the storm that they experienced the calm that only He could give. You don't appreciate the calm without storms. Also, on our way to the other side, faith is a necessity. They frantically came to Jesus. Master, carest thou not that we perish? Jesus calms the storm with a word, and then He says to them, how is it that ye have no faith? You've been with me. You've seen me work. How is it that you have no faith? Luke's account, Luke 8:25, he said, where is your faith? On our way to the other side, there's going to be storms. And we need faith. A faith that enables us to look through the storm and see the master of the winds. That's the faith we need. Also, on our way to the other side, we must remember there are others going through the storm as well. Mark, in his account, verse 36, he's the only one that records this. And there were also other little ships. Again, the multitude was out on the seashore listening to the teaching of Christ. And I believe these other little ships, they also were listening. They had to build, since they were in boats, when the apostles sent the multitude away, these had the ability to follow Christ and the apostles. There were other little ships. In other words, the apostles were not the only ones in this storm. Always remember, however troubled you may be in the storm, you're not the only one. Get over yourself. You're not the only one. It may appear that you're all alone in the storm. I assure you, you're not. There are others in the storm as well. In other words, these are not storms peculiar to you or me. Out on that storm-swept sea, there were also other little ships. Now, we don't know the size of the boat that Jesus and the apostles were in, but it was bigger than these because he points out little ships, other little ships. Their ship was little, but these were even more so. The storm of adversity is not upon us alone. The apostles, while they were in the storm, had the immediate presence of Christ in their ship. They had access to Him. That wasn't the case with the other little ships. And I'd rather sail in the ship with him than be in the other ships. Never forget, there are others on the storm-tossed waters as well. Some of them may be unsaved, and they do not have what you have to deal with the storm. Lastly, our voyage ends in victory, and they came over to the other side. Not a single one was lost at sea. When we get to the other side, there will be none of God's people missing. Every single one of them will be there. Every single one that he came to save will be brought over to the other side. Now, in this account, the other side was the country of the Gadarenes. And they immediately met with trouble. That's not going to be the case with you and I. When we get to the other side, all troubles will be gone. Never again to be seen. He brings us safely to the other side, where there is absolute victory. Here is a battlefield. But when we reach the other side, Revelation 7 verse 9, we will stand before the Lamb, clothed with white robes with palms in their hands, having obtained complete victory. Oh, what a journey we are on. What a journey. Don't lose sight of the privilege and the opportunity of such a journey. Don't lose sight of where we're headed. And all along the journey, don't lose sight of who goes with us. Let us pass over. And always remember, we're just passing over. We're just passing through. Whatever storms, whatever it is. It's all short-lived. It's all going to pass. And it's all going to end with us arriving to the other side. Brother Ben, if you'll come and lead us